All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the GarageCast. This has been a one waiting for a long time coming. It's the Godfather. All right, and this is a film that's very near and dear to many people's hearts, mine included. I saw it when I was a little boy. Saw it as a middle-aged man. Saw it as a grown man. I saw it all. Ain't that right, Cameron? Shut up. You don't know what I'm talking about. All I want to say is this movie is fantastic. It was a movie came out before Apocalypse Now. That was Francis Ford Coppola's baby. This movie's a masterpiece. All right, listen to me. It's a masterpiece. The second one's a masterpiece too. It's two pieces to the same master. Why are you laughing at me? You keep it quiet. I'm gonna tell you right now. You're a wise guy. I don't like wise guys. Hey, look at this guy. He's a wise guy. But anyway, listen. I'm not done talking. The movie's fantastic, all right? Just laying that out there right now. If you haven't seen The Godfather, you're doing yourself a disservice. You need to go back and finish that shit. Otherwise, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse.
I don't think we should watch movies with him again.
Give me my notes, Sergio.
Wow, what happened to me, guys? Oh, boy, that was fucking weird. I felt like...
alternate personality.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Sergio.
We lost Sergio.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, that was a great intro.
He's going to come back. Vito's going to come back.
That's Vito? That was his name?
Vito.
I don't know, some other Italian name.
That was Italian?
Yeah. You know, like a mob man.
Sounded more Brooklyn.
I don't fucking know, dude. It's all the same to me. Please don't kill me, anybody from Brooklyn or actual mob members.
We don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's all just one big joke.
All right.
I'm a joke.
What do you guys want to start off with in the?
What did you write down for the first thing?
Yeah, what did you...
Well,
so... hang on. This is your first time watching it, right? All the way?
Yes. I've seen...
From beginning to end?
Yeah, I watched it a long time ago. I don't remember where or why, but I think it was on like Netflix, and I just was like, oh, I haven't seen Godfather, and I know it's like well renowned, so I like turned it on and then fell asleep. And I saw the beginning of it, and I remember the beginning of it, like the whole like wedding scene and everything. But I hadn't watched the whole way through. So I did today watch the whole way through for the first time.
Was it a good film?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. The structure and like the pacing of it felt really weird to me. And
we were talking about the chronological order.
Yeah, but again, it was my first time watching it, and I feel like that's something that they might have, because I mean, Apocalypse Now was a lot like that too. The pacing is really strange in that movie, but not in a bad way. It like still holds your interest. Which I guess what I do want to talk about first, because it was my favorite part of the movie, the tension in the movie, which is part of the reason that it holds your attention, is because of the tension.
Got him.
Jesus Christ, that was bad.
The scene that comes to mind is specifically when, spoilers, is when
Dude, I've said this before. Every time they come here, it's a spoiler.
You're right. What the fuck's his name? When Vito's son,
Michael?
Mike, yeah. When
The
Mike,
main character,
yeah,
you forgot his
Mike,
name.
yeah. I always forget. I just want to call him Al Pacino, Mr. Pacino. Yeah, when he goes to the restaurant and he's like, sweating, and like there's this just before he's about to shoot the dude, he's like listening, but he's not really listening, and really just inside his own head thinking, all right, this is it. He's pumping himself up. That's fucking that's fucking.
Well,
good.
that whole scene. I'm gonna put my glasses on before the camera switches back to me. That whole scene was like, okay. Well, before we talk about that scene, I do want to talk about one other one that got me really well. Was in the hospital, when Michael goes to the hospital for the first time, and there's nobody there, and the staff isn't there, the guards.
Yeah, I felt
there,
that too. You're right.
and he's walking around in these like really tight hallways, and I was just like, the whole time I was like, oh fuck, something's gonna happen. He's gonna open the door, and there's gonna be like a group of guys in there or something like that. And then I fucking was
You
like,
disrespect this table, Cameron. You better put that phone down right now. All right, we're at the family table. Continue, my friend Luis. I'm sorry, Cameron.
I was sitting there and like thinking something was gonna happen, and then when the nurse comes in and is like, "What are you doing?" It actually like made me jump. I was like, "Oh fuck!" But it was like just the nurse. And,
Edge of your seat.
Yeah, and it just like the whole movie is like that. And so then jumping back to the dinner scene, the thing that stuck out to me the most was it was like the bomb under the table technique again. Where it wasn't so much the bomb under the table technique in the hospital, it was kind of like more of the unknown. But in the dinner scene, like we go in there knowing what the stakes are. And so when he's sitting at the table, like my favorite part in that whole scene is when they're doing the wine cork, and it actually like the camera stays in one spot while the guy is uncorking this wine, and it's like the whole thing, and he like screws it in really slowly and like then pulls it out, and then it pops, and like the whole time it's just these two characters that are kind of just sitting there, and like anywhere else that would have been like really awkward and strange, but that whole time I'm sitting there thinking like, does he already have the gun? Is he sat back down? Like, what's going on? And like, oh God, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Do they know that he planted the gun? Do they know what's happening?
Do they have guns?
Yeah, exactly. And like you're just sitting there, and you know the stakes, but you don't know what's gonna happen unless you've seen the movie. We know what happens now, and I already did know what was gonna happen in that scene, but it still got me. Jesus Christ. I knew it was gonna happen in that scene just because that scene's super famous and like people talk about it all the time. And it was really good. And then you go to the scene where he actually decides to shoot him, which is even more like way more tension, because you already know that the plan was for him to come out of the bathroom shooting, but
instead he sits down and listens when he's like he's making the decision in his head.
Yeah.
And I think they do a really good job of internalizing that problem, you know.
Yeah.
It's right in his fucking face, and I like how he's like,
and then the train gets louder.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
it's all wait, do that again. I'll simulate it. Ready?
That was perfect.
You could have just like.
I won my Academy Award. I'm Vito fucking Corleone. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say you could just overlap the audio with the actual train
I could. Yeah, you're right.
instead of sounding like a.
No, that sounded
dumbass.
fucking beautiful. That was a dub. That was fantastic. Fantastico.
But yeah, that whole scene is really good. But that also brings up another point: the decision making part of that scene. This whole movie is about, like you said, Michael's the main character, which isn't really clear at first. At first, he almost seems like you get introduced to him and you understand he's going to be a major character. But first, it seems like Vito's going to be the main character.
Well, I mean, he's the cover of the
Yeah.
movie.
And
Brando.
he's a huge character in the movie. It's not like
he's pivotal.
yeah. But what I noticed is this whole movie is about Michael kind of like he starts off not wanting to be a part of the family, not wanting to be involved at
He's
all.
more of a good guy.
Yeah. And then he by the end of the movie he's literally exactly like his father as far as like imagery goes, the decisions he's making, how he straight up lies to
Even when he
his
first
wife.
gets punched, he had like
Yeah.
the fucking swollen mouth. And
Well,
he
they
made him look like his dad.
start hinting at it, and like that's when he has a swollen mouth and he's talking
Speaking
with
like his
out.
father.
Yeah, and he talks like his father. He's that's the first time that he's actually making like a plan and like working within the family. Like, and they make a point of that before calling him a civilian and saying that he's not involved in the family business and stuff like that, and then that's what gets him involved. And so I thought that was really interesting, seeing that go over the course of the movie, and then you get the famous ending where he's actually like at his father's desk, meeting with all the people that his father would have met with, and then shutting out his like past life essentially when he shuts out Kate. And you get that famous ending of the door closing, and she's like, "No," and he's like, whoosh.
He is the Godfather now.
Yeah, exactly. And he literally
He's the
becomes
Godfather.
the Godfather. He's literally
the Godfather.
Yeah.
He becomes Godfather to the dude who's married to his sister, whom he kills.
And then well, technically he didn't. Technically he did not.
He ordered it though, which is the same. I mean, like, then also what I wanted to talk about was Sonny and Michael and their similarities and differences. I felt like they represented two sides of Vito, of the Don. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The aggressive side and the patient, wise side.
Yeah. Because throughout the whole movie, and this is also like, it kind of like tied back together because when we were watching the movie, I pointed out that
he's the one's Mike's always wearing a suit.
Yeah.
And Sonny's always wearing the fucking beat him up.
Yeah.
The tank top.
Yeah. Well, that Sonny does wear suits. But what I meant is he a lot of times he's wearing, if he's wearing a suit, he's not with Michael. But whenever him and Michael are together,
he's wearing suspenders and a tank top or something.
Yeah, something along those lines. And it kind of felt like that was like a representation of him being like I described him in my notes. I described him as the angry, impulsive, and aggressive one, and then Michael is the cautious, careful, and smart one. I don't know if Sonny does do some pretty dumb stuff.
Oh, he goes out and beats the
Yeah.
fucker to
Yeah,
like almost to death, and that's what triggers his
Well, I mean,
vendetta against him.
The dumbest thing he did was that he ran off. once
Yeah,
he
by
figured
himself.
out
Without
that-
going at with anybody, yeah.
Yeah.
and
To be
then
fair
that
though,
got killed.
going with people in the same car probably wouldn't have helped.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
They all got
That
gunned
is
down.
true, but I'm just like saying, like,
Yeah,
he
it was
just so
dumb, and it was-
impulsive that he
yeah.
didn't think, and it's just like
That's in the end. That's
at
what
this
got him
time,
killed.
We're in a war. What exactly is
That's
going
true.
on?
Yeah.
He could have just sent someone else to go rough the dude up. He didn't have to go himself.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, I feel like Michael had to like when before that Michael wasn't really, I guess he was, but Michael wasn't really like being aggressive except for like when they straight up like try to kill his dad. Then
Mhm.
he's like, "Fuck you guys," and he's like, "I'm gonna shoot you," you know.
And he gets hit when he gets hit by the sheriff or
Mhm.
the chief of police or whatever,
captain.
captain.
Well, that all same thing. He was still; those guys were still going after
His
his
father.
dad. Yeah. And I felt like at the end when he decides to kill Carlo, I think was the guy's name. That's kind of him filling in the space that Sonny would have normally been in, and making kind of like a rash, aggressive, not necessarily rash or like impulsive, but like an aggressive and like mean decision, you know.
Well, like
And,
even the way he goes about killing Carlo, he goes about it completely different. Whereas Sonny was just straight up, I want to
Yeah, Sonny
fucking
would've
beat the
just
fuck out
shot
of this
him,
guy.
yeah.
This dude is playing a mental game, you know. He's like, listen, I just want to hear the truth.
yeah,
You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna go on an airplane and leave.
Yeah.
And to the very last second, the guy is thinking, okay, you know, Michael forgave me.
yeah,
I'm gonna get on this airplane. And what's his face chokes him out and kills him with a
Yeah.
Garrow wire.
But
Yeah.
like, think about it. At the end of that, he was the only one that actually got choked out. Everyone else got lit the fuck up by guns.
So did at the beginning. So did Luca Basilia or the.
Well, I'm just saying, like, Michael's whole end game of
Mhm.
like him killing off every like rival.
Yeah, they all
every
got
citizen.
shot,
They all got shot.
and then he gets
And
choked
then
out.
he was
Which-
the only one that got strangled.
some fucking straight up symbolism as he's becoming the Godfather.
Excuse me, he's getting baptized.
Yeah, well,
Rebirth.
when he's becoming the Godfather, like
Mhm.
literally becoming the Godfather of his, I think it's his sister's child, right? Or
His
Mhm.
sister's child.
and then so he's becoming the Godfather of his sister's child, and then that scene is intertwined with him taking out all of the other bosses and becoming like the Godfather of like the crime family, you know.
Mhm.
And so I didn't even think about that until just now. I was
No,
like,
it's
I was
true.
watching it and I was thinking more like there was like a lot of tension, because I remember watching it and I was thinking like, oh fuck, they're gonna attack the baptism, like they're gonna attack the church.
It's the other way around.
Yeah, it was the other way around.
Yeah, because it looked like there was that one part where the two guys were carrying the grease guns, and it looked like they were about to go down. Like the windows looked like it was the church below them, and it looked like they were about to go down into the church. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh fuck! But then it it shows
Them
obviously
gunning
not.
down the other family heads.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ooh, sorry.
Excuse me.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting, and I feel like that was sort of his like descent into not descent, but it was his like transformation into like rebirth, like
Mhm.
what you said is.
Mhm.
During the baptism, he talks about do you renee? What was he saying?
Do renounce?
Do you
Satan
renounce? Yeah.
and,
Do you
like,
renounce all these
his
things?
Sins or,
And he said, I do these, I
and
do.
As that was happening, people were getting shot.
Yeah.
As like you're
Off of
renouncing
his
all this-
orders.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a good. Yeah, the movie's really good. It does shit like that really well. Also,
It's long, but it doesn't. There's a lot of scenes that don't really feel long, and even
Yeah.
with like the
well,
weird.
it's because of the tension.
Mhm.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say with a lot of the fuck, I already forgot. A lot of the scenes, the way we were talking about how like time isn't really like explained to us. It just
Yeah.
kind of goes from point A to point B to point C, and no
Yeah.
matter how much time, like in one scene he had just gotten back, and then in the next scene he's married to her again, and he has a
Yeah.
kid. And I still think, regardless of how like fucking skippy it is, it still holds up really well, and I just don't even really have a problem.
Fuck, just
It's probably me.
Oh, that was one of us. Yeah, actually, I think I did. I kind of whatever. it doesn't
Probably
matter.
blew into his
Smells
face.
like booty.
What the fuck? What have you been eating? No, I'm playing. What the fuck was I saying? But it's not really important. The idea is that it still feels good,
Mhm.
Regardless of how long it is, and the time. It feels consistent. It feels like it's followable. It's not like it's fucking jumping 3,000 years into the future.
Right.
I still we were
yeah.
easily able to assume, okay, it's been like 6
Yeah.
months. It's been a year.
Yeah. But like I said, like it just felt weird. Like the pacing just kind of felt weird,
Yeah.
I guess. But
I
not
don't say pacing,
like,
but definitely the time
yeah.
skips.
Well, when I say the pacing felt weird, like I remember watching it, and like normally when you're watching a movie, you can tell what part, like how close you are to the end of the movie. You know, like you can tell, like, oh, right now we're in the rising action. Oh, right now
there's the climax,
yeah, we're at the climax, and like, oh, and this is the like
falling action.
Yeah. And in this movie, it kind of felt like I remember I was watching it, and when he goes into the restaurant and kills the police captain and the other guy that I can't remember the name.
This is the climax.
Yeah, I thought that was the climax, and I was like, this movie's supposed to be 3 hours. Like, this did not feel like 3 hours. And then like the whole drawn out part in Italy, I was like, why is this so long? And then he goes back, and I'm like, oh, okay, so we're like in the middle of the movie right now.
Yeah, and also that whole sequence of him in Sicily had to explain, a reason as to why he started to like delve, like, I don't know how to say it,
be more like his father,
and become the thing that he originally wanted to distance himself from, like his fucking wife dying.
Yeah.
Apollonia.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of Apollonia.
Yeah.
How that was kind of like the way of explaining his whole descent.
I really, really liked the way that they did that too, because it was just little things that you could see where he was starting to act more and more like his father, and then like I don't know, it was just like when they're in Nevada, right? And then they're arguing about the deal that he wants to make, and the guy's like, no, I'm not gonna make that deal, and the guy's like, I'm gonna make you, or Michael's like, I'm gonna make you an offer we can't refuse. And I know that's a famous line from The Godfather, because like I hear that shit all the time. Like people make jokes and shit about that all the time. And so I was when I heard that, I was like, fuck, like he's just like his dad, and it's that's more obvious, obviously, but little things like when he gets his face busted up and then he's like talking like this, and then at the end he's talking like that too when he's at the desk and he's talking to Kate, and he's talking like with the same kind of like raspy voice that Vito was talking with throughout the whole movie. And also that was right after Vito died.
Yeah, that's true. I did like how Vito goes out. Like, it's just kind of unexpected. Well, not unexpected. It's just kind of like, it's peaceful. It's not the way you would expect a person of his status to go out, especially when you're surrounded by so much crime and so much evil and so much corruption, that you still go out the way like any grandfather playing with your grandson.
But the thing about, well, for me anyways, that death was still like, it still had a lot of tension.
Yeah, it did, because like the way you kind of sense it coming. You know?
Well, because okay, so I know this because of the internet, but it's also something that Francis Ford Coppola did on purpose to subconsciously plant it in people's minds, is that every time that something violent and somebody's going to die, or something violent or a death is coming, and I think it's always a death, they show oranges right before it comes, like the fruit. And so then me watching that and having not seen the movie before and seeing that he had an orange, and he was like, hey, come look at this orange, like pointing out that he had an orange.
About to die.
And I was like, somebody's going to die. And I was sitting there thinking like some cars were going to pull up and fucking shoot him. And I was like, oh God. And then I was like, when's it going to happen? When is it going to happen? When is it going to happen?
And it just doesn't, no violence really. It's just simple heart attack.
Yeah. Which I feel like there's some like meaning in that. I don't know what, but like the fact that he doesn't go out
with a bang.
Yeah. That he goes out with a whisper and a.
I wouldn't even say a whisper, just straight up like thump. I wouldn't even say a whisper. It would just be, it's just just calm. You know, it's just, most people expect to go out, when they're of status, that it's going to be some crazy thing. But I feel like that's kind of what his character would have wanted. Was to go out like that.
Yeah.
Visually though, I think the movie's fucking phenomenal, especially for a film that came out in like 1978 or 1974 or something. 1970.
I will best you.
It's not in the 60s. 1970. You want to bet? I'll bet you $100.
Shit.
1972.
All right. You owe me. You owe me $70. No, I'm playing. I'm kidding. Yeah, that's true. You couldn't even shake it because your finger. You gotta shake with your right hand, not your left. No, I'm kidding.
Flip you off with it.
That's true. I'll shake that right there. Let me see that middle finger.
Fuck you.
Okay, I understand. What was I saying? Visually, the film is pretty fucking sexy. I'm gonna make you give me your middle finger later. I'm gonna shake it.
What else?
You really gonna put that on camera right now? What?
I have a question that I want to pose to you guys.
Ask away.
How do you feel? Not like, I guess not like your personal opinion or how it affects your opinion of the film, But how do you feel about like pretend you were one of the characters in the movie, right? Like say you were like Kate or someone that just like cares about Michael, right? How do you feel about
Get into character.
Oh, I'm so
no, that's not what I'm
Wait, what
saying.
do you want me to do?
I just wanted to say, hey, like he said, care about characters, and I was like, oh, care about you.
I care about you.
That was just me prepping dancing.
Okay, so if you're one of the characters that care about Michael, how do you feel about him becoming like his father?
Yeah.
Because like one thing I was specifically thinking about is when he's in the bathroom and he's looking for the gun, and at first it seems like it's not there because he's like feeling around and he can't find it, and then he finds it, and I'm sitting there thinking like when he's looking for it, I'm almost hoping that it's not there so that he doesn't do this.
He doesn't become that way. Yeah, I was hoping it was there too, but I completely agree with you. That's like the whole point, is that his character is bugging me. I'm gonna fucking kill you. You guys can't see it on the camera, but there's a pencil, and he keeps putting it at an angle, and it's making me fucking annoyed because I want it straight. Yeah, but anyway, thank you.
That's broken. You're paying for another one.
You made us an offer we couldn't fucking know.
You're about to get your ass beat by 2 people.
I'm gonna be doing most of the work with your fucking broken finger.
I still got feet, bitch.
That's true. But what I said, you see Cameron fucking trying to bring his foot up onto the table. I'll get you. What the fuck was I saying? Oh, yeah, like I understand completely that like the whole reason that like the whole family kind of distances Michael is because he's the war hero. He's the good member of the family.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be the one that embodies the good side of the family, that like people, when they see the Corleone family, they see Michael first and foremost, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to go to college. He's supposed to do all the good guy stuff.
Yeah,
and
his
father
wanted to be like a senator or
the governor and some
like
president
that.
some fucking day, I don't know. But like, and now him doing this, him going down this path is essentially keep closing those doors to him forever.
Right.
So I agree with you, but at the same time, it's almost like it's poetic. It needs to be, you know, it's poetic that he comes full circle and he becomes his father.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
In a perfect world, it would be nice though if he had just let the gun go the minute he felt it, and just
kind of just settled itself.
yeah, and then just distance himself, go marry Kate or whatever, and then there you go.
And I don't know if that was intentional or not. I feel like it kind of was, because like I don't know if that was just meant, that scene where he can't find the gun at first and he's looking for it and then he finds it. It almost feels like that was meant for like just for tension purposes, you know, and like, oh shit, like he can't find the gun and this whole plan's gonna be fucked. Or like, oh, he can't find the gun and they know that he's looking for the gun and they moved it.
Yeah, that's why the guy's like grabbing his dick.
Yeah,
because like when he was searching for the gun, you can kind of like they go back to the captain.
Yeah, and they're like,
they're just kind of like looking over, because like the captain, like he probably hears something, but he's not minding, because I remember like they looked over, or they switched to them twice. Captain looked over where the bathroom, went back to eating, goes back to searching for the gun, but then they go back to the captain the second time. He does it again, and then just
to show that they were being impatient, you know, that they didn't know what he was up to.
Yeah.
But also, it's just like me gets you thinking, like, do they hear him?
Yeah, that's the whole point, like the tension. Yeah.
But then the thing that leads me to believe that that's not what it's for, and that it's for like for the audience to be like, no, don't do this, is because when he does find the gun, they take a long time
to look at it.
Yeah, because when he finally pulls the gun out, it's like a long shot and it's focused on the gun. It's not focused on him. It's like a long shot panning down on the gun, and it's almost like looking at it as like he's looking at it as like, oh shit, do I want to do this, you know? And like almost like he was also hoping it wasn't there, you know, because he pulls it out and it kind of seems like he's like, fuck, it's there.
It takes a while to grab it too. Yeah. Like you can tell he's been feeling for it, and he's like,
yeah. So it's almost,
how the fuck they keep it up there? They got duct tape.
Yeah, they said they would tape it. They would tape it behind the thing. So yeah, it was. I don't know.
It was good.
Yeah, it was good both for tension and then also for character building. What else is there?
I was going to talk real quick about visually. Like, there's a lot of scenes where you have the characters kind of shadowed, like they're always like against the light. You know what I mean? So like the camera's like close to them, and they're kind of like when they're talking in an alleyway or some shit.
Yeah.
Like half their face is obscured and you can't really see the emotions on their face. You just see them speaking. I really like the stuff like that they do for that. There's a lot of visual stuff that's just really like personal and it's sexy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing I wanted to mention along with that too is like they kind of using visuals and also just like what he's doing and the decisions he's making. they make Vito out to be more of an anti-hero than just like a criminal, you know.
He's very
from the
likable,
beginning.
you know?
Yeah. Because
harsh but very just, you know.
Yeah. And so he in the beginning, like, you're kind of like, I don't really know how I feel about this guy, but he seems like he's trying to do the right thing, but then also he's like very clearly has his own personal interests.
The right thing by his family,
right?
You
know? Like the whole a man who doesn't spend time with a family cannot be a man, or something like that they say. But it just, in the beginning, they kind of just establish that he's like an anti-hero character with all this money and power, and they show that
respect.
a lot. Yeah, and respect.
Literally, the first scene was that guy that was like pleading to
You
him.
come into my house on the day of my daughter's wedding.
I shouldn't have said it.
But
that's my famous line.
Then they show the whole, even like the whole wedding, and they show like, you can tell who are the family members because they're like snapping their fingers, and people are like, oh yes, oh yeah, I got you.
Yeah, when somebody takes a picture of the guy, he's like,
oh yeah,
and they fucking beat him up and throw his camera on the floor.
Yeah.
Or they take out the film
just
for the
take
first guy. Second guy, they throw his camera away.
The one that throws the camera.
Yeah,
and he gives him $2.
Yeah, I really like that, where he throws it on the floor and then
he feels bad and he gives him money anyway.
Yeah, thought that was good. And then I don't know, that just they introduce the characters really, really well. And
it's simple,
kind of like the rules of the world, I guess. You know, like they introduced that really well in the beginning. That's why I feel like that wedding sequence was really fucking long, but like we were learning we're learning about the world and the characters.
We learned about you're right. We learned about every single character and the way their interactions with each other.
Sonny's the one that smashes the camera, so right off the bat we know that he's like
rash and he cheats. He's immediately cheating on his wife.
Yeah. Well, at the time I don't think we knew he had a wife.
I think we knew from the first girl that he was like, they were arguing right off the bat.
He said like, watch the kids, don't make them run around like that, and then she just said, why don't you watch yourself?
Yeah, and he said, that's right.
And then he didn't say anything after that.
And then one thing that I really like in that scene too is the parallel of when in the beginning Michael's talking to Kate and he tells her the story of I forget, it was
how the Frank Sinatra, Johnny Fantine.
Oh yeah. And
how he got out of a contract.
Basically a Frank Sinatra knockoff.
Yeah. They
or something along those lines.
They sorry, I heard something. But they have the Michael tell that story, and then he turns to her and he's like, "That's my family, not me." Yeah. And then at the end, he shuts her out and does the exact opposite. You know. And I thought that was a really
it is
cool,
you.
Yeah, exactly.
Lying bastard.
Yeah. Michael's character was really well done in this movie. Yes. So, I mean, all the characters
and
were.
And it only gets better in the second one.
Yeah, I haven't seen the second one either, so.
We'll watch it down the line. We probably won't do a podcast on it, though. We'll just do it for the sake of Louis to watch it and enjoy it.
Because The Godfather, we'll probably just talk about the same stuff in Godfather. About Godfather into Godfather 2.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing, just makes like a better story.
Now I think I know why they don't give you the subtitles in the scene or when they're speaking in the dinner scene. It's because it's not important. You know what I mean? They kind of don't want you to know what they're saying if you don't speak Italian.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I was translating, or at least I was doing my best to translate because I speak Spanish. So like it's similar. So there were certain things that I was able to decipher, or at least partially. You know, like how he was.
Once you said it, because I remember I saw the subtitled version. What you were saying, I was like, oh yeah, that's what that was, and oh yeah, that was what that was.
So I'm actually impressed. I'm proud of myself
you
for.
You were on par with it.
And there was a lot of stuff I couldn't understand, but there was basic stuff. You know, like we do this for love and shit like that.
Although I felt like that built a weird awkwardness into it.
Yeah.
It's just like
that was
like that's a moment where like you're watching. Like,
that was kind of like purposely done. I think.
Like, you guys understand this shit? Yeah. Like
I think it was purposely done for that case, for the awkwardness.
Yeah, and I think it was.
That's why he switches to English.
I think again it was meant to kind of build that tension, like the same way that they were like doing the wine cork, and it was really really long and drawn out, and like just them just unscrewing a wine bottle, but it's fucking terrifying.
And during the second part of that sequence, sorry, before I forget, like when the train noise is building up, we still hear the other guy speaking Italian.
Yeah.
But that gets droned out.
Yeah.
And I mean, if there had been subtitles, then we would have been distracted because we're not focusing on the subtitles right now. We're focusing on Al Pacino and his reaction.
That's true. But I was thinking also, like, even though it's not really important, but like
that camera's about to
die. Being in the audience and saying like, oh shit, what's going on, what's happening, and like we don't know, like we don't know what they're saying unless you speak Italian. Then it doesn't have the same effect, I guess. But like to not know what's happening when you know the stakes already, but you don't know what's going on right now, but you can tell it's not necessarily good, but you're not sure. You know what I mean? Anyways,
You might want to check the time on that.
yeah, no, I noticed that. You want to wrap it up, Sergio?
Yeah, sure.
What is
32 minutes.
32 minutes?
Yeah,
That's
let's-
solid.
Yeah, I think it was a really good movie. Real quick, what'd you think of it, Cameron? I know you've seen it like 1,000 times.
Yes, I have. I love it. I think the second one's better.
And it's a long movie, and you have no problem with it.
Yeah, honestly.
Oh, we gotta choose the next film.
Oh,
Oh,
right,
shit.
yeah. Before
Grab
we
the hat.
forget, grab the hat.
Go,
I'll go get it.
Go, Louis, go,
All right,
go.
That's how I want it done. Did that just click off?
I'll click him.
No, that was my keys.
Oh, okay.
I'll grab it.
No. We're not letting him grab it.
Yeah, we're not gonna cheat. I told you.
He wants Alexander is in the hat.
The one
I
movie-
want to do it for my luck alone. That's why. Because with my luck, I'll grab it. Were you fucking looking in too? I wasn't gonna look. I was just gonna grab it.
I'm just trying to scramble this shit.
Okay,
All right, you ready?
I'm ready. I'll just fucking put it down and I'll look away. Fucking think I'm cheating? I don't want that one.
He's cheating.
I think.
He's trying to feel around for it.
Which one is it?
You're fucking kidding me.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Dude, is it really? It's fucking Alexander.
Yeah.
Bro, that's why I wanted to get lucky.
Zoom in on that.
That's
later.
why I wanted to get lucky.
Let's see.
That's fucking horseshit.
You want to know why? Because I've been having nothing but lucky rolls in D&D for the past 2 weeks straight. So I want my luck
But
to
no
keep
one's
going
gonna
on.
understand that.
We're
Only
gonna watch
5
Alexander.
people are gonna-
And it's going to be fucking wet.
I honestly have no problem with watching it.
It's great.
I just didn't want to watch it because you wanted to watch it.
This man's, yeah, I'm gonna fucking, you better sleep with one eye open, wise guy. You're gonna be sleeping with the fishes. Italian. All right, good night, everybody. I hope you enjoyed our podcast. I'm looking over into that camera. I hope you enjoyed our podcast. We're gonna be watching Alexander. All right, great movie. Highly recommend. Watch it ahead of time. The ultimate cut. The ultimate cut, not the
Is that
theatrical.
another 3-hour movie?
Yeah.
Fuck me, dude. That's,
ultimate
That's
cut.
3
Yeah, I'm
three-hour
gonna
movies
say
in a row.
3 3-hour movies.
It's fucking worth it. This is probably gonna be the second best
I think
one.
we should watch Dumb and Dumber because we'd have more fun watching that.
I'm gonna tear into Alexander. But anyway, not in a weird way.
asshole?
Not in a weird way. But anyway. Yeah. Good night, everybody. Hope you enjoyed our podcast. Go watch
this
Godfather pod. Shut the fuck up. Good night, boys. I'm gonna have words with you tonight, boy.